Hey, all you cool cats. What's going on out there in YouTube land? Welcome to another edition of, well, actually, no, it's not an edition of Deconversion Stories. Today we're doing something a little different. I have my very good friend Janice Selbie with me. She has already been on the show and told her deconversion story. We're going to give you a nutshell version in a few minutes. But before we get into everything, just a little bit of an announcement. There won't be an after party today because I'm exhausted. I've been on minimal sleep over the past week. And also my mom has been moved out of the acute wing up to a regular floor now. So she's doing much, much better. And they've still got the tracheostomy in there where they, so she can breathe without having the tubes down her throat. But she's still coughing up a little bit of fluid, but the antibiotics are working. So she is getting cleared out. They moved her up to a regular floor. And I'm going to go see her for about an hour, just to drop off some magazines and shoot the show with her, and then come home and go right to bed because, you know, work comes early. I get up at 4 in the bloody morning.
Oh,
yeah.
It's too early.
Yeah, I know. Stupid o'clock in the morning, I call it. But Mikey's going to sit in with us on this show today as well, because I have a feeling he might have some questions as well. We're going to be talking to Janice today about something that she started up called CORT, which is the Conference on Religious Trauma, which is coming up in May. Excuse me. She was going to do one last year, but of course with COVID hitting and some bad luck, we'll say, more like a bad person, we'll say,
Yeah.
but kind of made that a little bit on the impossible side. We'll talk a little bit about that as well. But anyway, Janice, why don't you sort of give us a little bit of a nutshell of your deconversion again, of how you kind of found your way out and the trauma that you had dealt with, which led you ultimately into starting up CORT, and how you got that started and whatnot.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks so much for having me back. And I'm very glad to hear that your mom seems to be improving. That is wonderful news.
Yeah, so far so good. Yeah.
Yes. So I was raised in a Christian home, evangelical home, which was, you know, somewhat fundamentalist in as much as my parents believed that the Bible was the inerrant and literal word of God. Now, we still had a TV and we had cable, but there were, you know, quite a lot of restrictions on what we could watch or how I could dress, this sort of thing. But after I got married, and I married a religious fellow as well, and he went to a very conservative Bible college. And it was during that time, and our children were little, and I started homeschooling them. And so that really opened the door much wider into the super fundamentalist community. Right. And then also I started studying with a group of closed Mennonites called the Haldeman Mennonites, or Church of God in Christ Mennonite. And these are the ladies who always wear their head coverings, and they're just wearing long skirts and dresses and this sort of thing. And so I decided that they were the only ones that were really being obedient to Scripture. And so I followed them down that rabbit hole as well and became very fundamentalist. So when my children were little, we didn't have TV for them to watch. We didn't allow anything secular or worldly in the house. No magazines, no newspapers, not even news, really. So we were quite isolated. And it was very much me in an effort to control the environment so that my children wouldn't be tainted by the world, you know, tainted in air quotes there. And I was very steadfast and sure in my faith. I absolutely believed 100% that the Bible was true, that everything that happened in the Bible was true, including, you know, a talking snake and a talking donkey and a floating zoo boat and all the rest of it. I 100% believed all that and had no problem believing it. But what I did start to have a problem with eventually was the feeling that I wasn't quite equal to my husband. So here I am wearing this head covering, which is to be a reminder of being submissive, right? Yep. And he actually was quite a chill fellow. He was never the type of guy to lord it over me, you know, I'm in charge, this sort of thing. He's a pretty relaxed kind of guy. But occasionally he would say or do things that just struck me the wrong way. And I really did not appreciate that my my voice didn't count for anything when there were important decisions to be made. If we were moving or something like this, what I wanted did not matter, because God gave him to me to be my spiritual head and my leader. And so I would outwardly be obedient and submissive in those cases, but inwardly it really stung. I didn't like it. Actually, I started resenting it. And so that's kind of where my seed of doubt started. It came in with that resentment and that feeling of inequality. And then we ended up, he was pastoring, and we just had a couple of terrible years where lots of tragedy befell our family. And finally, at one point, at the end of it, our youngest was diagnosed with a life-threatening illness, which we went bankrupt trying to cover the medical costs for. And at that point, I finally thought, that's it. I'm done. I've tried harder than anyone I know to live according to the Bible, to do everything that I could think of to do to be pleasing to God. And then we just get this total shitstorm for 2 years with no break hardly in between, all these terrible things that were happening. So I thought I must have bet on the wrong horse. My religion must be the wrong one. There must be another one out there. So then I started exploring Eastern religions and, New Age philosophies and that sort of thing. But I didn't know anyone else who had been as religious as I was and then had walked away from it. So I didn't have any support. I didn't talk with my husband about it. Our marriage was in trouble by that time. Didn't really talk to my kids about it because they were coping with their own stuff. So I felt really sad, very heartbroken, and very scared, because what was left if I didn't have my faith anymore? My entire life had been built around my faith. It was my identity. And then I couldn't homeschool the kids anymore because we couldn't afford it. I had to start going to work. So then that identity as a homeschooler was gone. And then we got divorced, and then I wasn't a wife anymore. So that aspect of my identity was gone. So it was just a lot of change and a really heavy grief that the rest of the world, everyone around you doesn't really acknowledge. They don't know what to do with it. It's not like your partner died. Although to me, losing my faith, that is what it was like.
Sure,
I liken it to a divorce. And so then I came up with the Divorcing Religion workshop. But it felt that heavy, like a divorce, losing, because I had felt so close to Jesus and to God. I really, really did. And losing all those things in a short span of time was so exhausting and terrifying. And I mean, talk about being plunged into an existential crisis then, as I started looking at, well, what does that mean for an afterlife then? What does that mean? Am I never going to actually see my relatives and friends that I've loved and lost? I've been planning on seeing them in the afterlife. And so asking those kinds of questions was just really heavy and difficult. And then thankfully, one day I was on the internet. I mean, I didn't even know the right words to type in to try and ask questions about. I didn't know words like deconstruct and deconversion and that sort of thing. And then I saw Dr. Marlene Winnell. She was on a TV show, like on some kind of news show. And she is the one who wrote the book, Leaving the Fold, which has been helpful for thousands of people, including me, who have left their religions behind and are trying to figure out what comes next and what just happened. And then she said something at the end of the interview for people who wanted to get in touch with her. And so I thought, oh, yep, that's me. I want to get in touch with her right away. So I phoned her and I got her book, and I went to one of her weekend retreats in San Francisco. And for the first time, I was surrounded by people who could relate to what I was going through, even though we had come from different religious backgrounds or different branches of Christianity, and there were JWs there, ex-JWs and ex-Mormons, but we all could relate to the grief factor and the loss factor. And so reading Marlene's book, and I had, of course, also when my divorce was happening, I went back to school and became a therapist. I became a registered professional counselor, and I hadn't chosen an area of specialization. I was kind of just doing general stuff, a lot of couples therapy and so forth. And then when I started learning and understanding about religious trauma, my own and other people's religious trauma, I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to be able to help people who no longer have their faith, and they're interested in building a secular life, but they have so much baggage. They have so much work to do to try and put the pieces back together. Those are the people that I want to work with. And so that's what I did. And I wrote up, came up with an idea for a 6-week workshop, and I do it online. It's just meeting every Sunday, and all 6 of the modules mirror a divorce. It's called the Divorcing Religion Workshop, and it just takes people through it kind of from start to finish, and gives them a sense of where they've come from and where they are now, and where they want to be in the future, moving ahead. Gives them some confidence, allows them to start rebuilding community, because they're meeting other people. It's a group workshop, so they're meeting other
Nice.
people who are also rebuilding. So
Nice.
yeah.
So after all of that, which sounds like you went through quite a bit, and what prompted you to start CORT? Just simply because of all the stuff that you went through and others that you knew about that also went through it, and maybe that something like this, getting together with other people that have dealt with this sort of thing, where they come in, like Dan Barker, for example, who used to be, I mean, he was the musical director for church and stuff like that, and wrote all kinds of music and stuff like that. He's an amazing guy, but yeah, which I think is great, because he's one of the featured speakers at this year, right?
He sure is.
I got to get him on the show.
Oh yes, you really do. Yeah, I'm so excited that that he agreed. I really feel that I've been beautifully embraced and welcomed by the atheist community, and by just basically the ex-evangelical community. So a lot of Christians who've left evangelicalism, and so after
rightly so.
Yeah, thank you. So after attending a couple of Dr. Winnell's retreats and doing my own workshop,
too,
she's fantastic. Yeah, she's a real treasure, and she's a pioneer in the field of religious trauma and religious trauma syndrome. And so I saw what Marlene was doing, and I had I had an awareness of Daryl Ray, of Recovering from Religion, and what he was doing. I didn't know him though. And I said to Marlene at one point, we need to do a conference. There has to be a conference. People need to know about religious trauma syndrome. And of course, Marlene's a very busy lady. But she's like, well, if you want to put it together, I'll support you. And she certainly did. She was able to help me out, at least so that I would know some people to contact potentially as speakers. Because when I started, I had her. That's the only one person that I knew, really. So she gave me some names of people that she respects in the community, religious recovery community. And I started from there. And then it was, well, but I also want to invite this person. And what about this person? And then it kind of got bigger and bigger, so that now we have like 21 speakers that are going to be talking at the conference. And it runs from May 11th to the 16th. So it's like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night or whatever, and then all day Saturday, Sunday. And so a number of the people who are speaking have educational backgrounds related to psychology and mental health. And then there's the other aspect of the conference, which is people like Nate Phelps and Yasmin Mohammed, people who grew up with very heavy religion and have walked away from it. So they're not necessarily mental health professionals, but they have walked this journey. They know what's involved. And so So they will be speaking. And we've got Mandisa Thomas from Black
Excellent.
Non-Believers, which is very exciting. And
I just had her on recently too.
oh, did you? Yeah, she's great. She's a powerhouse.
Oh yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah, she's an amazing lady, man. What she has done is without a doubt impressive. Starting and now there's little chapters everywhere.
Yes, and it all starts with an idea. I mean, I'm just a lady who had an idea, who saw a need that I thought should be filled, and started to work filling that need. And it's very incredible to me how many people have come right alongside me, people like you, and said, yes, I support you. I think this is a good idea. How can I help? And all the speakers who've signed up. And I still am hearing from people in the public, people I've never met, who would love to speak as well. And so I get their information, because my hope is that if the conference is successful enough, which I know it will be, that I'll be able to do it yearly, that we can make it an annual event, the Conference on Religious Trauma. I would love to take it all around the world, because there are people in every country of the world who are suffering with religious trauma syndrome.
Of course. I mean, when you're able to do it live, like next year, we figure you probably will be able to actually throw something.
Oh, fingers crossed.
Yeah. I think by next year, this time, you probably will be able to. Borders will be open again. People will be able to travel a bit. It's going to be a slow roll, obviously, because even though, I mean, I just got registered for the vaccine. You've already had it. Mikey, you've had it too, right? Yeah. And now I'm now booked for an appointment, although they haven't given me a day yet. They're going to email me the day that I can go in and get it. So I'll be getting mine soon. We're getting the AstraZeneca one, apparently, which is one of the higher efficacy ones. But of course, they've got the blood clot issues with women between 20 and 30 that take like birth control or something along those lines that can screw up shit. But they recommend it for anyone who's not sort of with that issue. So yeah, and then I think a few months later we'll get shot number 2. So
yes, we're awesome. Moving closer and closer. So that'll be wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. So hang on a second. Let me see if I got all this. You got Marlene's going to be doing a talk. Daryl Ray, Dan Barker.
Yes.
Who else did you mention?
Well, Janet Heimlich, she's an author and an award-winning journalist, and her specific interest is childhood indoctrination. So I'm really looking forward to Janet sharing. And also Rick Allen Ross. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's a cult expert. I have. And I'm very, very pleased that he's agreed to come speak. And so, of course, his angle isn't religion per se, but it is high control groups. So he will be fascinating to have. Let's see, and we already mentioned Yasmin and
Yasmin,
Nate.
right? That's right.
Yes. Yep. Got an artist from New York, Jen Kiaba, and she was a Moonie for a number of years. And we also have a writer from New York who was a Moonie for a number of years, and they'll be doing workshops on healing through art and healing through writing. And we have a gal who's a former Mormon, and she's a musician, and she will be talking about healing through music. We just have so many excellent people. Did I mention Jeremiah Camara?
Nope, you didn't mention that one.
He's a Black documentarian, filmmaker, specifically looking at how the Black community has been impacted by Christianity and by religion. And he's done a couple of really fantastic documentaries on that issue. So Jeremiah will be terrific. And Candace Gorham is an author. She wrote Ebony Exodus Project, and she's agreed to join us too. So my gosh, it's amazing. All the incredible people who will be speaking. Wow.
You're like, I'm surprised myself.
That's totally it. I'm like, what am I doing here? I'm on the shoulders of giants is how I feel.
Yeah, well, what you're doing is great as well. So And so thank you for putting this together, because I know lots of people that would probably will tune in. And just while I'm thinking about it, guys, there is a link below to everywhere that you can find Janice, and specifically on the top, you'll see the court website. Okay, so if you are interested in checking this out, you can buy tickets for the virtual show or the virtual event that's coming up in May. It's over the weekend. What is it, the 21st and 22nd?
No, it's the 11th to the 16th.
11th to 16th. Oh,
right.
So it's more than a weekend. Right.
It is. And there's two different ticket types. There's for $75 US, there's the ticket that is strictly for the resources. So that means all of the sessions that will be recorded. So you can buy that. It's a little bit cheaper, or if you're in a different time zone. And so you won't have access to the live show while it's going on, but you will be able to have access for 6 months to the recordings. And then the other ticket is kind of a full access ticket, and it's $150 US, and that includes entry while the speakers are talking and participating in the Q&A, and then also those folks do get access to the recordings as well.
Excellent. Also, guys, any super chats or anything, also any revenue I make off the ads off of this are going to be donated to court. So if you guys are feeling a little generous, throw a few bucks my way, and I'll make sure that it gets over to Janice, because she's funding this entire thing herself. So any extras will definitely help soften that blow.
I sure appreciate that. I'm really trying to make it accessible to as many people as possible. So I'm offering a discount for students. And of course, anyone who's watching your show, they can get a discount when they register if they use the discount code POD15, POD15, and that'll get them $15 American off the registration price. And I also am working with folks. Some people are really in such a time of financial hardship because of the COVID pandemic, and maybe they've been out of work or whatever's going on. And so if they write to me, I can figure out a way to help them as well. So,
well, my fantastic producer right over here, who couldn't figure out what mic to use, just threw $20 US your way to help. So,
in my defense, I was wondering, I was like, am I not talking loud enough? Pretty sure I interrupted her there. Pretty sure she should have heard that and
I didn't hear a thing.
That's because the mic wasn't selected. I'm just screaming into the ether. I'm like, so yeah, Kojic, that's kind of like the just kept on going. Just kept on going. Son of a bitch.
Rude. She is rude.
What's wrong with this lady?
She's a counselor.
Worst counselor ever. She can't listen at all.
Counselors not to go to.
Yeah.
Oh, you're terrible.
No, well, you and I have met in person twice now.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You came out over to the pub right by my place to have that wonderful breakfast with the other atheists that got together for that.
Mm-hmm.
With oh shit, his name just
Clint.
escaped me. Clint, thank you.
Yeah, from the Mindshift.
From Mindshift project or whatever podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because he came up here with his
sister.
Yeah, that's right, sister. And they came and they hung out here, and we all got together. It was a good time.
It was
a lot of
fun.
folks that from Twitter showed up, like Randolph and
oh yes, that was great.
Argumented Reality showed up, and a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
And then you and me and Godless Mom went to the pub in Summerland.
Yes.
And hung out there.
Yeah, because she's only like an hour away from me, so yeah, she's pretty cool.
Than me. I'm on the coast, so yeah, it's a 3.5 hour drive to get up there for me. But
well, we really need to do a BC Atheists of BC get together. We are.
Randolph and I are putting something together for Canadian atheists. It probably won't happen this year, obviously, but next spring we definitely want to get put on an event called the Atheist Network event.
Oh, wonderful.
So, yeah, Canadian Atheist Network or whatever event, or something like that. He'll remind me. But yeah, Terry Baby, it's your birthday today on 4/20. Look at you. Hope you're smoking lots of weed. Oh yeah, by the way, happy 4/20, guys.
Happy 420.
I have 2 rolled for later on when I get home from my mom's place, and I'm probably not going to smoke both of them, but of course, but half of one anyways, and get nice and baked and fall asleep. So yeah, putting it to good use.
Them goodsies. While I was listening, I wrote down a couple things. So it's like the way that you were saying, like your husband he wasn't like an outright just like mean person at first, you know what I'm saying? But I remember my stepdad like kind of pushing us into like that more fundamentalist Baptist kind of like side of Christianity. And I just as a 11, 12-year-old, I was like, yeah, I don't really like how he's talking to her. Like it's never been a thing. It's never come up, but it's just like I didn't really appreciate how her autonomy was kind of being just overlooked and just not even up for discussion. It's like, well, no, we're going here because that's what and this is like, I don't like this. That doesn't seem fair. We just went to your place. We just did what you wanted last time, so it should be here. I don't know that I like this.
Did she ever see that?
No, she's still a believer. She has not made the connection that these terrible men in her life have been. They may be perfectly fine people, but their religious beliefs is what's turning them into monsters, and that's why she keeps finding people who are very controlling and very possessive and super insecure.
Yeah, that's so true. And then, of course, women can be really primed for those kind of abusive relationships. And my husband, I wouldn't say was abusive, but my father was. So growing up in a home with a religious narcissist definitely can prime you for that, because you get so hyper used to always following the rules. I did, and became very comfortable with rules. And that's why I went really deep into fundamentalism, was because I felt so comfortable with the rules and always having somebody could tell me what to do, so I didn't have to think for myself.
Right. And I think that's kind of like 420 is a good day to bring it up. But I told her, I was like, hey, I went to the DMV and the line was like 700 hours long. So I went right next door or a couple blocks over, and I went to the dispensary, and she's like, why would you do that? I was like, because it helps me relax, and I have this and I have that. Why? That's not good for you. I'm like, well, it's not as bad for me as everything else that I'm doing, but you haven't said anything about that. Well, I just do the simplest stuff. I'm like, that she like her splurging on sweets is like getting a regular Pepsi as opposed to a diet Pepsi. She's never been drunk in her entire life. She's never smoked a day in her life. She is like every rule that there is to have is the rules that she follows.
Yes.
And she loves it because she thinks it's a very simple and plain life, and it saves her from all these things. But it's like, but you're also easily controlled, my mother.
That's right. Yeah. No devil's lettuce for her. She's not going to be following you down that road.
I kind of like, it's not right, but I kind of want to sneak her like a little bit of like a little piece of a little bit of an edible just to see if she just chills out and then just like gets giggly and is like, that was fun. But I wouldn't do it without asking her first.
Yes, of course. Yeah. And that's so that was an interesting thing when I did divorce religion. Was I decided I was not going to deny myself anything. All the things, all the fun teenage stuff that I never did, I was going to do whatever. And so, I mean, it's amazing I'm here and not in jail because I really just went for it.
Ah!
My poor
like
kids
the
were
little kid in Home Alone when parents are gone, he runs around.
That's right.
Fucking like
jumping on the bed. She was just like knocking over the neighbor's mailbox on her skateboard with her hat backwards. She was like, yeah. The Ramones, baby. I got their new MP3. Wa-pow. And then she fucked up somebody's mailbox.
No, here we play mailbox baseball, by the way.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. She's just hanging out
of the car, grab your aluminum baseball bat and just whack. When they go, mailboxes go flying.
I did not do that.
There's a lot of stone mailboxes around here for that exact reason. They're like, it's like, all right, you want to bring your little bat? Come on. There's a mortar in here in stone.
Thinking about your what you're saying, Mikey, about your mom, though, I think also Christians can tend to have a real martyr complex. And so for me, I'm wearing the head covering and no jewelry, no makeup, and all just considering it such an act of submission, showing my love for the Savior and being so obedient to Scripture. And I think that also then can keep women trapped in abusive marriages, as they're thinking, well, great is my reward in heaven. It's going to be, and my mom is like that. I love my mom. She's the most wonderful, wonderful lady, gets tied up with horribly abusive people because she thinks that somehow that shows the love of Jesus. I'm like, dude, there's a problem there. Do you see it?
Yep.
And the problem is like that positive reinforcement is for a negative behavior, and they just keep getting it and getting it. It's like, oh, so if I keep getting the negative, that means I'm doing good. And it's like, no, that means it's bad.
Negative reinforcement is what that is.
Negative reinforcement, yeah. So it's like that's bad when the bad stuff keeps happening to you from the same group of people who are still trying to push the same rules on you. And it never, don't. But what can you, they grow up so fast.
That's the formula for these beliefs, especially with Christianity. Actually, pretty much with Christianity is you are born a sinner. You're born broken. It's and they'll sell you the cure, basically.
Yes.
It's like somebody running up to you and sticking a knife in you and go, well, here, I've got the sewing kit and I can fix you up, but it's going to cost you.
I'll patch you right up.
It's going to cost you. Right?
One thing I had to learn when I left was I really started looking at cults and high control groups and the psychology involved, the psychological tactics involved there. And it was very disconcerting as I could see myself and my own situation in so many of those pictures. And I was like, wow, I think actually Christianity might just be one huge giant cult. And so learning about those tactics and the different, kind of mystical manipulation things that can go on, and not just within Christianity, but these happen in all sorts of other groups that they don't even have to be religious groups. I mean, look at the NXIVM cult. That was not a religious cult at all, but it was still a cult. So that's why I think also it'll be really good to have Rick Ross addressing our group too. I want people to become very aware of those signs so that if they ever start falling into fundamentalism or extremist thinking again, they can see it ahead of time and they can stop, put the brakes on.
For sure.
And I think my mom's loving of following the rules and all that stuff kind of is what got me out of it. Because as soon as I got to the age of reason, I was just like, why are we doing this? Like, this clearly doesn't work. But I still can't shuffle cards because we weren't allowed to. Cards was gambling. And gambling, it was wrong. There was a lot of movies we never saw. So like I have this like big like 15-year gap of pop culture that has just gone out of my life. That I'm like revisiting out. Like I just saw Karate Kid probably, I don't know, 6 months ago. But it was fighting. We couldn't watch that. And they used to like Ninja Turtles when Raphael yells damn. They muted it because they wanted us to watch the movie. But they would make us. So then I grow, and then I have like a TV in my room, and I find myself muting it. And I'm like, what? I'm not muting this damn TV. They're not
brainwashed. Wow.
Oh, yeah, definitely people who come out of fundamentalist backgrounds, it can be such a massive shock then when they're entering the secular realm. And we can often have a lot of gaps compared to our peers because we often didn't receive the same science education, the same sex education, sometimes not even the same history education. So there's a lot to catch up on. And boy, do I hear you. I have like massive gaps. I think from about probably maybe 1993 to like 2005, 2000. 8, I don't know, just where I didn't watch movies. I didn't know.
Yeah.
The only reason we even found out about the American 9/11 that happened, that whole horrible tragedy, was because the night before I had accidentally switched the clock radio in our bedroom. I'd switched it over to radio from alarm by accident. And so when it woke me up in the morning, it was with news about the towers coming down. Otherwise, I don't know how long it would have taken.
Oh, you would have heard that day.
I would think so, but that's
everywhere.
That at that point, it made me start to question a little bit about how isolated do I want to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, when you hear stuff like that's huge, right? So, and now you're like, shit, I never would have heard about that on my own. You would have had to have someone else tell you about it. Mm-hmm. If they were even listening and knew about it, right? Because I'm sure most of your friends were sort of, at least, were they following sort of the same ways as you were?
Well, we were living on the Bible College campus, and I for sure was the most fundamentalist of anybody there. Like nobody else on the campus, none of the students or none of the wives were wearing head coverings, and right. they watched me go from relatively normal to super duper fundy, and my family as well watched, and my parents would never say anything. My siblings never said anything. My dad was thrilled, but my mom had concerns about how small I was making my circle, smaller and smaller, about what was acceptable behavior and what was righteous, this sort of thing. But none of them said anything to me until I started, leaving, until I walked away from the whole thing. And now I'm extremely close to my brothers, and they walked away from religion in their teens. And then we weren't very close for all these years, because how can you be really close when the most important thing to someone is religion? If you don't hold that same view as them, there's going to be a gap. Or every time they're talking to you, maybe they're trying to convert you, or, that's how it goes with friendships for a lot of religious people. They'll only make friends with unsaved people to try and convert them. That's very uncomfortable, and it's very disingenuous.
Yeah, fuck yeah, it is. If that's the only reason you want to be friends with somebody, so you can save them, that's like, what? Mm-hmm. How about you just take me for who I am and we'd be friends? You don't need to try to save me. I'm fine. Thank you.
Well, I think it's so fear-based. The religion is so fear-based, and they're scared of catching the apostasy of the other person.
Catching it like it's a virus?
Yeah.
Look, dude, I just invited you over here to play Mario Kart. I don't know what all you're talking about. Do you want Yoshi or not? Like, I was going to pick him, but if you want him, put the Bible down. Do you want Yoshi? That's all I want to know right now.
Oh, my poor kids, when I think of how restrictive I made their lives. And I have 2 daughters, and they're both grown now. They're in their 20s. But yeah, just the rules that I had for them. They never even wore pants. They only wore skirts and dresses till they're like 10 years old. They never had their hair cut at all till we moved back to Kelowna, back to the Okanagan, and kind of farther and farther away from the fundamentalist thinking.
Good.
What's one thing that if you could go back and let them do that they were like probably asked for? Like, I imagine that they have their ears pierced, but if they want to like cut or dye their hair, or like parties, or like is something like
Those
that.
Were like big no-nos. My ex-husband, we're not married anymore. His parents did take them out and get their ears pierced, and I was. But yeah, things like that. They're wanting to dye their hair when they were in elementary or middle school or whatever. Oh no, we can't do that. And then within a few years, when I've totally left religion and I'm going like nutso, and I grew dreadlocks, and I started getting tattoos, and my littlest daughter and I were on this corner waiting to cross the street, and a guy sees me with my dreads, and he comes up, he says, "Hey lady, you got a joint?" And my kid goes, "Yeah, right. This is my mom." And I got my hand on like a roach in my pocket. When I'm like, no, of course not. I would never. Oh,
I
Is that the-
had one, but
Is that the ice cream man? Here you go, brother. Here you go. Here you go.
oh dear.
That's a
there were some
unicorn.
crazy times.
Unicorn riding a zebra. That's crazy. Right over there, honey. Here you go, brother. Don't say nothing. Go ahead. Go.
yeah.
Oh, boy.
Was it the dreadlocks that made you ask me?
I'm pretty sure. It was.
Yeah, probably.
And then I did ask my kids eventually, what was it like seeing mom go from so tightly wound to suddenly, like, now there's no rules. Because obviously that can be pretty disconcerting for a kid. And they both said, you know what, Mom, you just became so much easier. Like
Right.
It was easier to be your kid once you started making some of those changes. And then there were times too, eventually, where I did apologize. I wrote them both really sincere letters, because I saw that some of the choices I had made, both when I was very constricted in religion, and then when I was just really exploring my freedom without being thoughtful how it might affect them. And so I needed to write letters of apology to them. And they were just so gracious and so loving. And I have wonderful children, and I'm very close to their dad. All four of us, even though we're not married anymore, we're still a really tight unit.
That's actually
awesome.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It's very cool, actually.
Must be actually a big relief for your kids that you guys are actually still remain fairly close, even though you're not married anymore.
Yeah, I think it is. And we were able to demonstrate to them that it is possible to have a significant relationship change and still retain that friendship. So we're no longer romantic by any means, but we still are the first ones we'll reach out to if something bad happens or something good happens. So we were together for like 20 years. And it was nice not to have that pressure anymore. Like the whole time we were married, I was always kind of wishing he was just a little bit more something or other. And he was trying to figure out, how come I can never please this woman? And then when you don't have the confines, when you don't have the confines of marriage and you're just friends, all that pressure's gone.
Yeah,
Because
for
you're
sure.
just friends, and you can spend time together. And as soon as one of you starts getting annoying, you can go, okay, time for me to go back home to my place now. I'll talk to you later.
It was fun. I'll see you next time.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I wish everybody's divorce could be as amicable, but it's definitely not possible in a lot of situations. But for us, it worked out.
I thought you were gonna like bring up trial by combat. I'm like, oh, okay, this is where she's gonna start. So he's both suited up in armor.
No, you got to wear those giant sumo wrestler outfits.
No, I got my bat lift.
Oh wow! All right, I'm already jealous. I did order a lightsaber. It's on its way to me in the mail, and I got another Mandalorian mask coming, and I also got I know I'm out of control.
You're one of the cool kids.
And I also got what's his name from Teen Titans, Wilson.
Teen Titans, I have no idea.
Deathstroke.
Deathstroke. Yeah.
We got a Deathstroke mask coming too, which is fucking cool. I'm gonna try and slowly but surely put all these costumes together, because I already got my what do you call it? I already got the Jack Skellington costume, so that's one down. I'm putting together my Rorschach from the Watchmen costume. I want to put together the Mandalorian costume, and I want to put together the Deathstroke costume. So I'll have all the cool ass costumes.
So what you're seeing
Deadpool.
is, when we get together for the Canadian Atheist Network, it's actually going to be a costume event, because you're going to want to be able to change all your costumes.
Yeah, I'm going to work on Deadpool too.
I assume that every convention center, when they had a meeting, cosplay was mandatory. So it's a bunch of doctors, and they're all coming to have this conference. But I'm also going to need somebody to be like Naruto, Ken from Street Fighter. Like, I'm going to need all this.
Yeah.
You'll be prepared.
A couple of scorpions running around, you know.
Oh, yeah.
I'll do Negan from The Walking Dead.
With Lucille.
Yeah, hell yeah. I've already got the bat. I just need some barbed wire, which is not. I can get down to the local hardware store. So, yeah, he's barbed wire wrap bat. Right?
Ooh, oh, I don't know. That sounds pretty dangerous.
Oh yeah,
said the mother.
yeah.
Make sure you put a sweater on out there.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna loosen up, Mom. I can't even put barbed wire on my baseball bat.
You haven't changed at all.
So restrictive.
Leather? I'm not sure I'd want one out of leather. I'd probably want one out of the material that they make the mask, the actual mask out of. But leather, I'd be sweating my balls off. So no thanks.
Your face ball.
Yeah. My face balls. I'm a ball-chinian.
What movie?
But that's a great idea.
Wasn't that what's it called? That was a Galaxy. Oh, that's right. I thought it was Galaxy Quest for a second.
No.
That was a good movie.
What was it? I think it was Will that kicked the guy in what he thought was the nuts, and he go, "That guy's a ball-chinian. That won't work." And then you can see his nuts underneath his coat. They're right here. Ball-chinian. A great name too.
I did get confirmation, at least, that I was concerned that I really did push the purity aspect on my kids. Like, purity was very important. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, when I changed, and I'm like, no, you need to get on birth control. She's like, oh, I'm only 15. I said, I don't care. You're getting on birth control. So, but I still had lingering concerns.
Boys can't be trusted,
or something. Concerns that
no, they can't.
Oh, okay. Listen, all you moms, listen to what. And I was still concerned that maybe I would have negatively impacted their views on sex or sexuality or anything. And then
did they ever speak to you about that?
Well, last year, it turned out one of my daughters and I, we were moving at the same time. Like, we had living in an upstairs, downstairs situation. We were moving out to different places. And so we were putting all our boxes of stuff on the patio.
Oh, no.
And then I saw that there was a box, and it was like a box for stackable storage containers for your kitchen. And so I said to my daughter, I said, oh, do you mind if I take these if you're giving them away? She said, yeah, no problem. We're both super duper tired because packing and moving is so hard. Well, then I get to my new place.
Oh, no.
And first I pull out handcuffs, and then I pull out a rope, and then I pull out a ball gag, and I'm like, oh, this is not. I'm closing.
This isn't my box.
That's the love kitchen.
Neil, did you leave your stuff in my car again?
I messaged my kid. I'm like, do you remember what was actually in that box of things that I thought were for the kitchen? She's like, no. So I take a picture and I send it to her.
Oh, no.
Oh my God. But then I figured I did a good job. There's no hang-ups there. Like, so yay. We're all free.
You didn't freak out and run around the house and go wash your hands and rinse your mouth out with soap or anything like that.
No, I was trying to figure like, well, I mean, yeah.
How can I use this?
Yeah, I was like, if I wash this real good, can I still use it? No.
She's like, because then there's the awkward conversation. The next phone call is like, Mom, I appreciate you returning the box, but there are several things missing. Like, you left the empty container in there. There was something in that container. It's no longer there. And I wouldn't even say anything. If you took everything, I just like, nope, nothing was in there. It didn't happen.
I asked her if she wanted them back, and she's like, nah, just get rid of them. I'm like, okay.
That's not my penis pump.
I don't know whose box that was, Mom, but it wasn't mine.
I don't know how that got mixed up in our stuff. That's crazy. What's that? My name was stitched into the ball. It's a very popular name, Mom. A lot of people have that.
Oh boy!
Tons of people have that first and last name.
I will say that we have a very my kids and I have a really open relationship as far as we can tell each other anything. My kids know they can tell me about anything that's going on in their life, and they're not going to be judged for it. And that's the kind of interaction I want with my kids. You know, they're grown up and they get to make their own choices. And once our children are adults, we're in their life by invitation only. So I want to make sure that I stay on their good sides.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think, you know, you were talking a little bit earlier about how you were kind of hard on them as kids, and you kept them from a lot of things that other kids would have been all over. Do you think that they might have had a little bit of trauma from that?
Oh, yes, I'm sure. And so they have, you know, they're invited to attend the conference if they would. They don't have to.
But they're able to talk to you about that, and you guys can you know hug and cry and get it out and apologies and all that stuff, and they'll probably be fine after that. I'm sure.
And you know what? I think that they've actually done a lot. They've found it somewhat easier than I did. So I was born into it, and I never even really questioned religion until I was about 40. And with them, so they were born into it, but by the time they were like 12, I was deconstructing. And then I talked to them one time, and I said, you know, well, because the girls both said, well, you know, I don't really believe it either. And I said, well, when did you start doubting? The youngest one's like, well, that whole story about Noah's Ark kind of gave it away.
Yeah.
I felt so stupid. I'm like, I believed it. But, well.
Balaam talking to his donkey, like, what good drugs, where'd he get them?
You know, Mom, you did take me to the zoo, right? I saw one elephant. I knew that shit was bullshit. I knew there was no way.
Yeah, and I guess that's where really the childhood indoctrination, it gets in your brain, and it's so sticky. And in my case, it was also infused with fear of my father. Because it can be quite aggressive. And so then when you add the fear element to it, it can be really tenacious. And it's like it's in your brain with all these booby traps around it psychologically that keep you from questioning. So it took trauma for me, like repeated tragedies in my family, for me to start questioning and being willing to question and express my doubts. And we can't change anyone else's mind. They have to change their own mind.
Yeah. You can, obviously, when you have conversations with people, like the epistemological type of questions, using Socratic methods, you can ask questions that might plant some seeds and start them to think a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And that's what when I do those kinds of conversations, that's what I aim to do, not expecting much, but you never know.
You never know. And one thing, so certainly now that we've unfortunately got all the QAnon nonsense out there, and so many people have had their families really split apart by this. And so I encourage people, if you are trying to engage and have conversations with people whose minds are pretty tightly closed, like if they've really gone down that conspiracy hole there, try to make sure your questions are how oriented rather than why. Why will put people on the defensive. But if we can say how instead, or just keep this attitude of, I want to know more. Please tell me more. So we're going into the conversation not with the presupposition, I'm going to change you. You're going to see that I'm right and I win. But instead the attitude of, I want to learn about this person. I want to learn as much as I can about their beliefs and what's driving them. And then that leaves the avenue of communication open at the end of that conversation, rather than they're done. They don't want anything to do with you.
Agreed.
I sometimes I just have like a bit of a vengeful streak, and sometimes I just like to volleyball spike those idiots right into the sand. It's fun. You should see them bounce.
Some deserve it, Mikey.
That's what I'm saying. Just some of them, I see that ball like floating up over the net. I'm like,
NJS. By the way, that NJS guy that popped into the chat there.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Oh, that perfect example of a volleyball spike. Sometimes you just gotta spike them right into the sand.
I spiked him right off the channel. So he can no longer post comments or anything. I blocked his ass from this. So.
You've got the power.
I got the power.
I forget I'm talking to musicians. Yeah.
That's right. What was that? That black box, right? I black boxed his butt right off the channel. There you go.
He's out of here.
Yeah.
He's fucking out of here. Fucking guy.
Well, you know that Courtney and I also are doing a podcast now on
Yes, you are.
secular
Link
parenting.
below, guys. I linked
Yay!
Courtney's channel and told them the show that you guys do, which is
thank
secular
you, God.
parenting. Yeah.
Yes, and I'll have you know we're number 9 in Costa Rica. Like, how was I said we better do a field trip then? As soon as we can go, we don't want to disappoint our adoring public.
Your first live recording will have to be, oh no, in Costa Rica. I don't know what we're like my other show. I don't know what we're trending in Sweden, but we're not ever going there. Like, or Norway, where it's like
We're
dark.
number 30 in Sweden. We're number 30 in Sweden. I'm like, who? I don't know.
Oh, you're screwed. Oh, you're screwed now. They're gonna request your presence. You're gonna have to go up there and fight 36 polar bears and some ice zombies.
I want to go there, and I want to go to the ABBA museum.
Oh,
That's it.
Silence. There's silence.
I mean,
take a chance. Take a chance. Take a chance.
That's right. Yes.
My sister had that album and played it 24/7. So I have a huge hate on for ABBA.
It's ingrained in
I'd have
your-
to turn my Sabbath up just a little louder.
and that's when the arms race for amplifiers began.
Yeah, that's right. Because of me and my sister. Yeah. No. My dad would come bouncing down the hallway. Shut this shit off, both of you.
Both of your music sucks.
Yeah.
Both of you shut up. He hated both of it.
Oh no, he was into the hip stuff.
We were only allowed to listen to ABBA, I think, and the Beach Boys when I was a kid. Like we could listen to Christian albums, but those were like the only 2 secular ones.
I got kind of lucky because there were some like pretty decent Christian bands out when I was a teenager. So like POD.
POD. Mm-hmm.
POD is not bad. It's not bad music. Like it is worse. Under Oath, which is like a screamo band, but were a Christian band. But
What about King's X?
King's X, I really like King's X actually.
And the guy
Gretchen Goes to
came
Nebraska
out,
is the best album, man.
and then I can't remember if it was the guitar player from King's X, and he came out as gay.
Yep. Well, that was a while back.
Yeah, well, I'm only catching up now, but I thought I was very pleased about that. I feel like I'm very excited to see people from Christian music backgrounds, and like the guys from DC Talk or whatever bands.
that was their name. I couldn't think of it. I was like, oh, I'll just skip them.
What about
And
Striper?
some of them are deconstructing. Oh, Striper! I love me some Striper. But
Demon Hunter? Demon Hunter, anybody?
Yeah.
I like
Blood Good.
Yeah.
There were lots of Christian bands. But the funny thing is that they usually had 1 or 2 songs on the album that might have focused on Christianity. The rest of it was just regular rock and roll, really. Yeah, Gretchen Goes to Nebraska was the first album I had of King's X, and I think that was their first big studio album anyways. But they have a song on there called Summerland.
They do? That's cool. And is it like actually about
fucking
Summerland?
awesome. No, it's about a magical place, I think. But which Summerland is, right? I've seen the pictures, Courtney's. Well, I go to Summerland all the time because my dad lives there, right?
That's
my biological father.
It is beautiful.
So go hang out with Courtney all the time. Man, she makes good food there.
She loves to cook. She is.
Oh, she does. She does.
Well, I don't believe you. I'll have to go up there and eat it myself.
All right.
You're gonna have to come up, Mikey. I'll take you up to Summerland, meet Courtney.
I think, and you guys are talking about having like the BC cosplay atheist convention.
That's right.
You guys are gonna need it. You guys are gonna need a producer, so I will fly out. I'm already vaccinated, so I will just scootily doodly on up there. And
your little card,
I got my
molecular card or whatever the fuck they call it.
I got it.
All right, awesome.
That thing's worth gold.
And Janice, well, for sure. I mean, we'll probably have a panel of people speaking too, like they do at Faithless Forum. I actually talked to Drew and Thomas about it, and I was like, "You guys mind if I do Faithless Forum Canada?" And they're like, "Well, it's our intellectual property," and said, "And we'll get together and talk about it." So we still have to do that, but they may actually allow us to use that moniker, and then they'll come up too, right?
Oh, that would be so cool! Yeah.
Unfaithed Forum, totally different.
Yeah,
Totally different.
the Forum of Faithless People.
Forum Faithless, and it's just clearly their logo where we just like MS Paint just cut and then moved it over to it. Just squished it.
Yes, Monica, we did. We covered the conference and how she got it started and whatnot, and talked a little bit. She's already been on. Janice is already on my show. Told her deconversion story, but she nutshelled a little bit of it to sort of give people an idea of why she decided to start doing it because of her own religious trauma that she had to deal with as well. So we did talk about it. You can watch this back if you like. There are links below, by the way. You can follow Janice on Twitter. I only have your Wise Counselor one. I forgot that you had a personal one too.
And my other Twitter handle is, pardon me, @divorce_religion, all one word.
There you go, @divorce_religion. All right, so there you go, guys. Shit, I lost track of what I was saying. Oh, and also you can find there's the Facebook page for Court as well down there. The actual website for Court is there if you guys are interested in getting tickets and checking it out. Which I recommend.
Forget 15 for the discount.
That's right.
The OD15 gets you a discount on registration.
There you go. And thank you to everyone that did super chats today. Those are going to be turned over to Janice for donations for Court to try and help out, ease a little bit of the. At least you'll be able to buy a couple of beers or something.
Thank you, everybody.
But anyways, we're going to wrap this up. I got to head up and see my mom and drop off some magazines and, well, not actually give her a kiss because you can't do that. They won't let me. But I'll give her a pat on the head and one of these.
Oh, you're such a
and then, yeah, well, when she's often asleep because they had her on, the drugs, right? So I'll just hold her hand the entire time. And when she comes to, she wakes up, she goes, oh, hi, right? Like she forgot I was there or something. But anyway, yeah.
Thank you for having me on again. This has been a lot of fun.
My pleasure, Janice. You're a good friend, and I would. There's no way I would have been able to say no. I would have been no. I'd be a dick if I did that. So, yeah. Then this is a big deal, and it's an important conference. So, absolutely. I'll just pop you off the screen for one quick second, Jess, because I'll let people see the dates again. Right there. Was it? Hang on here. Hang on. I'll pop all of us off here for a second. Hang on. There you go. So there you go. That's what it's all about, guys. It's also the thumbnail for this, so you can see it there. And you can also see it on the website. I just tailor-made it for this. But instead of them being beside each other, I went whoop and made them over top of each other.
You're pretty handy.
Well, no, it took me like an hour. No.
He's broken 3 laptops to make this picture.
Yeah, that's right. Stupid cut and paste. But anyway.
He's just sawing them, trying to get out. I want that on the other side.
Yeah, it says cut. Why isn't this work? Oh, damn it. Now I need a new computer.
Oh, boy.
First time I told my dad about cutting and pasting on the computer, I saw him go to the kitchen and get scissors. I'm like, no, Dad.
Put the cord down, Dad.
Yeah.
Put the cord
Back
down.
away slowly. Back away slowly. Thanks. B also popped some of the links there in the chat there as well. So there you go. Yeah, the secular parenting. That's right. See, B knows how to cut and paste.
Right on.
She's a cutter and a paster.
Which is a great show. I've tuned into a few of them, just lurking in the background because I'm usually always doing something here while I'm listening. So, but anyway, thank you, Janice, for popping in with me, and because I definitely wanted you to get the word out a little bit more. I know I'm not a huge channel, but at least 30 odd people heard this today. So
I appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to being able to grab a drink sometime soon in the future.
Absolutely. We'll definitely do that. And by the way, when you do get, I'll let you know as soon as I'll tally up what we got and I'll send you, if you give me your email, I'll send you an e-transfer for some of the cash that's come through.
Oh, okay. That's so nice. Thanks, everybody.
And then I'll just collect it off of Google at the end of the month. So,
cool. Right on.
Yeah. I'll throw in a little bit of a donation myself too. So we'll make it a little bit worth your while. So thanks you guys for hanging out with us. Like I said, if you're interested, click those links and check it all out. If you guys have things you want to talk about that you went through, Janice is your gal. So hit her up on Twitter or Facebook, and she'd be happy to talk to you or put you on to somebody that could actually, that's like, what do they call it? I guess papered or whatever. They has a license to do it. I don't know.
I
Like if it's
do.
Oh, do
I
you?
do.
Oh, there you go. Well, there
I
you go.
am a therapist. Yes.
Talk about
Oh.
the papers. I got you.
Well, it is 420.
Oh, papers.
420.
Got
Whoop,
you.
There you go. I'm prepared. Got a couple different strains here, so we're doing
Yeah. A counselor who's on paper.
It's the good paper. Slow burning. All right, so
Backwoods. I'm the backwoods counselor. The black and mild counselor.
We better quit while we're ahead.
Yeah, no kidding. Another thing, guys, yesterday was the 50th anniversary of the Doors' LA Woman album, so I highly suggest you go and check that album out because it's amazing. They call it Holy Shit.
Oh,
wow.
Very much quiet gorilla.
Wow, thanks, QG.
Wow.
Well, that's
QG
huge.
coming in
Nice.
clutch.
Oh, that's really touching. Thank you.
That's amazing. Thanks, Quiet Gorilla. That's pretty cool, man. That's pretty cool.
All
That's
right, who wants to be cooler? Who wants to be cooler than Quiet Gorilla?
Here 500. What's going on?
I know you got your stimulus check, so you're gonna have to.
You can part with some of that money. Let's go now. All right.
I don't think I've laughed so much on a podcast in a very long time.
Apparently, we need to zigzag back to the subject.
Well played,
all right.
Tons of mice. Well played.
He said to make sure that I paid up, even though he's the reason one of my videos was blocked. I'm actually editing that video right now, so it won't be blocked anymore. I had to edit out the gorilla scene from BBC. Anyway, well, we aim to please. Thanks, Gorilla, by the way. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Spread the word about Court. Direct people to this video if they want to learn more. And there's also, I think, the Mindshift podcast you were on with Clint there talking about this as well. And I think on Seth's channel too, correct?
Yes, and also I was just on the Right to Reason, and before that I was on Left at the Valley.
Which is coming up for me, actually. I'll be on there.
Cool. Right.
Yeah. All right. That's it, guys. There's not an after party today because I'm going to see my mom, and I'm beat, man. I'm
get some rest, brother.
I am. Yes, Randolph, you did miss it live. you know I go live at 5, so there's no excuse.
Randolph.
Live at 5. Neil, the 604 it is. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring this to an end, guys. I'll be back on Thursday. Who's my guest on Thursday? I really should have this thing memorized by now.
Yeah, me too.
You'd think. Yeah. Jake the Atheist is with us on Thursday telling his story. So tune in for that one. There will be an after party for that one because I'll probably be a lot better rested at that point. So once again, Janice, all the best. And Janice has a new Twitter follower. All the best to you and the best of luck for this. I hope this helps a little bit, and you'll be getting a little bit of cash from me shortly. So
thank you.
That should help with some of the costs a little bit.
Yes, and I'm sure it will be a great success. Thank you. Thanks, everybody.
All right, that's it, guys. Once thanks again to my fabulous producer over here, Mikey Famine, for actually sitting in on this one because I felt it was an important topic, and I thought you should be here for this and not hiding in the back room and giving me the finger every 20 minutes.
Well, I mean, if we're just going to be revealing things on air, I mean, you know, there's that kind of party.
And also, what I'm going to do is take my my patron money for this month in particular, and also throw that into the donation as well. So we'll make sure that you get a little bit of help with this because I know it's coming all out of your pocket, and that can be tough.
Yeah.
So thanks to my amazing patrons, by the way.
Yeah.
You guys are click that button. There we go. Thanks to all my amazing patrons. You guys are the reason that this show keeps going. And honestly, I love doing it. So, but it's great when I've got some support, and you guys are my backbone. And don't forget that shortly, Randolph and I will be starting up our own call-in show. Randolph is now in the chat, late as usual. We're starting our own call-in show called True North Talk. And we will be, so head over to the channel there. We are on YouTube, and there's some funny construction videos because we're building the studio. So head over there and give us a sub, and you hit that little bell icon so you'll know when we launch.
Wonderful.
Yeah. And every Wednesday, or on Wednesdays is when we do the recordings. I don't do them every Wednesday, but the revamped and relaunched Nonprofits airs Sunday between Talk Heathen and the Atheist Experience at about 3 p.m. Central Time, and I'm one of the cast members or one of the hosts. Yeah, and Mr. Famine over here has joined us for an episode as well, and probably will be on for another one. I think you've done two, haven't you?
I've done two. Yeah,
that's right. So yeah, and they're a lot of fun to do, and they're a lot of fun to watch. We talk about some interesting things. So definitely check that out and sub to them or sub to that channel as well, and you'll get to see my ugly mug just a little bit more.
A little bit more. Give a more mug.
And even though we did one mid-month because we missed the end of last month because of what was going on with my mom, the last Saturday of every month, actually, technically, it's going to be May 1st, which is the Saturday, and then we'll do one at the end of May. We do we do Atheist Drinking Out Loud on the Laughing in Disbelief channel. Myself and Andy Hall and Seamus from the Free Thought Prophets, we get together with a guest normally, and and make fun of shit and get drunk and have a good time.
That sounds like something I can get behind.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, Janice, I'll talk to Andy. I think we should have you on to talk a little bit about this again, maybe on the Laughing or on the Atheist Drinking Out Loud.
Oh yeah.
Right?
She likes to laugh. I like Janice because Janice is one of my favorite types of people, and those are joke punching bags. It doesn't even have to be funny, but she's gonna laugh, and that makes you feel good if you're trying to be a funny guy.
It's true.
She likes laughing. I like having her around because she's easy to make laugh.
Is the best medicine.
It is. It is.
Releases all the good chemicals in the brain.
Mm-hmm.
Like urine.
It's not fun to hang out with my mom because she's got the tracheostomy going on, right?
Oh,
yeah. But they're taking out the scunt or whatever they call it, where it's to stop the draining because she won't need it. They're putting in the little voice box thing, so she'll be actually be able to talk.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. But she'll sound like that dude from South Park. Scuttlebutt. But anyway, so yeah, that'll be fun, and I make her laugh too. So
I bet you do.
But it's funny because she can't hear it. Right? She's all I see is a little bit coming out of here. It's hilarious. My mom.
If you put like a balloon there, then you could see it inflate every time she laughed.
Or just hit her with the helium balloon. No, that won't even do anything because she can't talk. So it won't be funny. Well, that was a waste of helium.
We'll have to woodshop that, but I'll wait for her to laugh.
And what is it? The one that makes your voice go deeper? Is that this boron or something?
Hexasulfur dioxide.
No, not sulfur dioxide. No, dude.
X
marks the spot.
Gas hexafluoride. Yeah, hexasulfur fluoride. Yeah, that's right.
What?
Hexafluoride. That's what it is.
Do not let him near your mother.
No kidding.
Sulfur hexafluoride.
Sulfur hexafluoride. There you go.
Sulfur hexafluoride.
I told you I was right.
All right, sure. All right, there you go. That's just
I got one. All right, met my quota for the year. Back to being dumb.
I don't know if I want to inhale sulfur. That shit's used in gunpowder, for fuck's sakes. But anyway,
it's not on my list.
Yeah.
And you're gonna sound like this, and it would be really funny.
Really, really deep, boys.
It's like that, lower than you can possibly make.
It's like Barry White low.
I'll put it in the side. I'll put it in the side chat. Just look up a video of people doing it.
So is this what it's like when you don't do an after party? Because this pretty much seems like an after party.
Yeah, well, we're a little bit of an extended time just to have a little bit of fun.
We have a chemical dependence on laughing at stuff. So
yeah,
yes,
that's what it is. So yeah, there you go. Yeah. All right. Time to go because I got to get my butt out of here.
I got food.
Thanks, guys, for hanging out. Already done all my other thank yous. So, like I always say at the end of these, guys, like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith. because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time.
Okay.